Hosted by you/advice needed. So, my best friend Kate, 26F, and I, 23F, have known each other forever, and I love her with all my heart. We're extremely open and honest with each other, about as close as two people can be without being romantically involved, though it's a running joke that we're wives. Because of this, and her meticulous nature, we've previously gone over random scenarios, and what we'd like the other person to do in each situation. Things like if a guy asked one of us out through the other, if we both developed feelings for the same person, and even scenarios like if one of us died. One of these was the dreaded if I had a boyfriend and he had feelings for you scenario. The potential for this has come up a few times in conversation over the years in varying degrees of seriousness. While we agreed that it'd be awful and sucky, we didn't agree on what we'd want to know in the situation. I would always, under any circumstances, want to know, and she wouldn't. She has been adamant about this every time it's come up, and no matter what question I hit her with or how I altered the scenario, she's always made it 100% clear that she would never want to know. About 3 years ago, Kate started dating Gabe, 26M. He's been around, kind of one of those extended members of our group, so we both knew him, and I'd never thought much about him other than that he seemed cool, nice, etc. Because of his proximity to her, he joined the rest of our friend group, and he hit it off with all of us. The boys love him, the gals are happy for Kate because he's genuinely perfect for her, and most importantly, she is over the moon. All she's ever wanted is to be in love, it's a dream of hers. He treats her, and other people in general, with the utmost respect. Gabe and I get along well. We don't hang out one-on-one, but we'll chat a bit, very basic stuff about music, our jobs, etc., and hang out as a trio. He has small talk with some of our other friends too, and I always thought it was great because he was taking an interest in her life and the people around her. I've always been a bit of the odd one out in my group of friends. I was moved up a few years in school, so all my friends are just a little older than me, and I've been the baby of the group my whole life. Most of us went from high school to the same university. I've also always had a general disinterest in dating. I've had interest from guys, but I'm a bit of a daydreamer, obsessed with my chosen field, and my future plans don't involve children and perhaps not even marriage. The idea of love has always appealed to me, but I've just always been happy within myself and never in any rush. Because of this, there's been a running joke in our group about me dying alone, surrounded by nothing but dogs, etc. Harmless fun, and over time, Gabe joined in on these jokes as well. I noticed that as he became closer to the group, he always seemed very interested in my love life and encouraged me to pursue my dreams and take my time. Kate always did the same. I never thought much of it. About 4 months ago, I met a guy, 25M, who completely swept me off my feet. We'll call him Max, because that's his name. Totally unexpected, he just swooped in, and we've had a very charming, fairy tale-like romance. Because of my inexperience in relationships, I've spent a lot of time talking to Kate about all the feelings I've been having, etc. She's happy for me, gives me advice, yada yada. Gabe is in the same room when this is happening a lot of the time, so he sometimes gives his input. Everything is perfect and awesome. But then Gabe starts acting weird. We'd be having drinks as a group, and I'd be telling a story involving Max, and he'd suddenly get really strange. He'd warn me, saying completely normal stuff Max does is red flaggish. Max spontaneously showed up to take me out on a date stargazing late at night. I love surprises, and I study/work in astronomy, and Gabe went on about how dangerous it was for me to go alone, etc. Gabe has always been friendly, supportive, and nice to and about everyone. So much so that Kate started to doubt Max and his intentions purely because Gabe is a great judge of character, while all my other friends think Max sounds great and laugh Gabe off as bizarre. During this time, Gabe revealed to me that he was going to ask Kate to marry him. Hooray, that's totally awesome. I had to keep it a secret for now, but I was really pumped for them. He told me so he could get advice on the ring and how she'd like to be proposed to. All good. It finally reached the tipping point when Max met my friends, and they all really liked him. Everyone seemed to be getting along, and Max and Gabe were chatting on the side. Suddenly, Gabe just put his glass down hard on the table and stormed out of the bar. Kate was all confused and went after him, and I went over to Max to see what was up. Max looked super shocked. He told me Gabe was doing a bit of the Big Brother routine, which he had gotten from a few of the guys in the group. Max said from most of the others, it was playful banter type stuff, but Gabe was a lot more serious. The point where he got up and stormed out was because Max had been talking about how serious he was about me, how no one had to worry, and how he would never dream of hurting me. Later on, Max suggested maybe Gabe was jealous or something, but I was pretty disbelieving of that. I cannot stress enough that Gabe has never done or said anything that ever seemed like he had feelings for me. He's treated me the same as anyone else in our group, the only difference being he's gotten to know me more because I spend a lot of time at Kate's place. Deciding I'd had enough, I messaged Gabe. First, I asked him if he was okay. Then I went on to say that I hoped everything was cool between us all. The following conversation reads: Him, it's not cool. I don't trust that guy. Me, do you mind if I ask why not, specifically? No one else got bad vibes. Ex-friend and Y-friend even invited him to the beach tomorrow. He looks at you funny. I can't explain it properly. You've known me a while, you know I have your best interests at heart. Trust me on this. I understand that you can't help it if you get bad vibes, but no one else does. I'm sorry, but I need more than trust me to go on. Regardless, while I appreciate your concern, I'm capable of making my own mistakes, and I do not think this is one. It'd really mean a lot to me if you could try and get along with him to make it easier for him to fit in. I plan on keeping him around for a while, and Kate wants to do double dates and stuff, so you're going to run into him eventually. 1. Double dates sound lame, and 2. Even if they didn't, I don't want him to come. 1. Take that up with your lady, and 2. Do you really not like him that much? Okay, he seems alright but kind of weird. How can a theater kid be so alpha? It's more that I'm jealous. I resent the notion that theater guys can't be manly, but also, I know the group is really tight. Everyone really likes you. You've been one of us for years now. Max got a lot of attention tonight because he's the new guy. I'm sorry if you felt excluded, but I promise it's really not like that. He didn't reply for a while, and then sent this. I've been thinking very carefully about how to phrase this message. I don't want you to think I don't love Kate, because I do, very much. But I am also in love with you and have been for about 2 years. When I realized, I thought about breaking up with her, but you were always so in your own world, I thought I'd never have a shot anyway, especially if I was your BFF's ex. I pushed it down, lived with it. It was hard, and it sucked. I got over it, kind of. I thought that if I couldn't be with you, then at least I could have happiness with her and be near you. Then, you met Max, and watching you start to fall in love with him is the hardest thing I've ever had to do in my life. I know this is cliché and dramatic. I know it's effed, and I should just not say any of it, but I literally feel sick when you talk about him. I cannot tell you how much I wanted to hit the guy last night and then how bad I felt about it when I realized he was actually a decent guy. I think the only thing worse than you being with another guy is you being with another guy I actually like. Sorry for offloading onto you. I know it's unfair to do this now. I do love Kate. You know I do. I want to marry her. I would rather you didn't tell her, but what happens next is up to you, I guess. If this is a joke, it's not funny. Can you please tell me the truth? Sorry, but that is the truth. What are you going to do? I haven't sent him anything back after that. He sent a few more messages asking what I'm going to do. I replied to say I'm thinking. Edit. Since posting this, he has sent quite a few more messages asking what I was going to do. I told him I still hadn't decided overall, but I also made it clear that I don't reciprocate his feelings. I am gutted, and how I feel is nothing compared to how my best friend would feel if she knew. I want to tell her so badly. I know that if I were in her shoes, I would want to know. The last thing I'd want is to marry a guy who wasn't honest with me about something like that. However, it was at the beginning of this year that we last joked about this exact scenario, and she was still adamant that she wouldn't want to know. I know it's not my fault, but I still feel terrible. I'm questioning if I ever did anything to bring this on from him, and if I can even go on acting like he never said anything. His feelings are not reciprocated at all, never have been. Max was with me when I got the message and has been very supportive, if a little miffed at him for obvious reasons. Send help. Update 5 days later. So, there were lots of conflicting opinions on what to do, and many of you had really good reasons behind them. However, there seemed to be consensus on 2 points. 1. This situation sucks, and there's no ideal solution, and 2. Everyone seemed on board with the letter idea suggested by a few people. The idea was to write a letter, include the screenshots and evidence I had, and then offer Kate the option to learn the truth. This way, she could choose whether or not she wanted to know. I did feel a bit like I was forcing her hand by even letting her know there was something to know, but here's what happened. I put everything in an envelope and went to her place while Gabe was at work, under the guise of just hanging out. Pretty usual stuff. Reddit, I'm not a terrible actress, but this woman knows me so well. She opened the door, immediately took one look at me, and asked what was wrong. To my everlasting shame, I burst into tears on the spot. Super pathetic and definitely not ideal. Once I composed myself, I started saying what I'd been practicing in my head. I explained that something we'd talked about a lot in our hypothetical scenarios had actually happened. I reminded her that she'd always said she wouldn't want to know, but I wanted to give her the option. Then, I handed her the letter. Without even opening it, She started crying too, which made me start crying again. Honestly, it got kind of ridiculous, and we both ended up laughing through the tears as we stood in her living room sobbing all over each other. A lot of people had guessed that Kate might have noticed something or already had an idea of Gabe's feelings, and you were absolutely right. But it's even weirder than that. I genuinely can't believe I'm explaining this, it's just bizarre. I don't even know. Kate confessed that she had noticed something off about Gabe. She thought he had a harmless little crush on me, the kind of thing people in relationships sometimes get. But when he didn't talk to her about it, she started feeling uncomfortable. Then, she did something she probably shouldn't have, she snooped. A few months ago, she snooped on his laptop and found a file with my initials on it buried among other files. She went and got his laptop and gave it to me to read while she read my letter. Inside the folder were stories, like fanfiction, about the three of us living a polyamorous lifestyle where we were both his wives. Some of the stories were sexual in nature, which, okay, I think I could maybe understand if it had just been fantasies. But there were also incredibly detailed documents about our lives together. And it went deep. For example, one storyline was about him trying to convince me to have kids, which, for context, I've always been clear about being child-free. There were tons of stories, all different lengths. I didn't read all of them, just skimmed a few, and honestly, it was surreal and disturbing to read about myself like that. Kate also hadn't seen some of the newer documents. Kate told me that at first, she hadn't minded because she was included in the stories too. It reassured her that he still loved her. But obviously, me being part of their life in that way wasn't her ideal, and she'd been disturbed by the way he spoke to me in the messages I showed her. I asked if she felt safe, and she assured me that she did. I asked what she wanted to do, and she said she wanted to leave him. She also apologized for not telling me sooner. While I don't love that she kept it from me, I decided to let it go for now. She doesn't need my judgment right now, and honestly, I was just relieved she wasn't angry at me for bursting her bubble. My focus is on supporting her and being there for her. Of all the things I expected to happen during that visit, it wasn't this. After some back and forth, I started worrying about her safety. While Gabe doesn't seem dangerous, his behavior is obsessive, and with his fantasy becoming less achievable, thanks to Max being in the picture and now this, I wasn't sure what he might do. I was also a bit anxious about Max's safety, though I couldn't tell if I was being paranoid. Kate reassured me that she felt completely safe. Gabe had never done anything red flag worthy beyond this, but she was still taking precautions. She got up, grabbed her suitcases, and started packing. Typical Kate, she gave me business-like instructions about what to grab from around the house while she filled her bags. She wrote a note for Gabe explaining that she didn't think they should be together anymore and would only discuss it with him over messages or in person a few days later, in a public place, she emphasized. I carry a pen drive on my keychain, and I told her I wanted to take copies of the stories. My reasoning was that if anything happened, even if she didn't think it would, we needed evidence of his obsessive behavior. She agreed, so I now have a pen drive full of fanfiction and playlists about myself, my best friend, and her ex. I won't lie, I'm tempted to read them out of sheer morbid curiosity. But so far, I've resisted. Afterward, we went to my place while figuring out what to do next. Kate was understandably emotional and all over the place. I filled Max in on everything, and he suggested Kate stay with him since Gabe doesn't know where he lives. Kate preferred a nearby hotel instead, which we paid for with my card. Once she settled in, she asked to be alone, which is normal for her when upset. I've been checking on her constantly, and she's been messaging me, so I feel confident that she's coping, even if she's understandably sad. I'm staying with Max until things settle down. Meanwhile, I've been getting messages from Gabe since about 5 p.m. that night, and it's been 2 days. They're all I just want to talk type messages, not aggressive, but persistent. I was planning to block him on everything, but Kate asked me not to. She's worried about his mental state. Side note, just to be clear, I'm not bashing poly relationships in this post. That's not what I find weird or disturbing. It's the obsessive, fantasy-driven fixation on me and the secretive way it's all unfolded. You do you, just don't drag me into it. Lastly, thank you so much to everyone who commented, especially those who took the time to write detailed advice, send good vibes, or PM me. You guys were amazing, and I'm so grateful for all the support and thoughtful responses. Op shares a little about the fanfic. I had a lapse and checked one of the playlists, but then I saw that new pop song with the Jonas Brother guy on it and immediately closed it. I don't want to ruin any of the songs I like by being reminded when they come on the radio. Is it weird that I feel more embarrassed for him than creeped out? I think I cringed so hard at one of the parts I read that I made an entirely new facial expression. It was something like, "Gah, I'm cringing even now remembering it," him waking up one morning and walking into our living room, And Story Me, WTF, runs up to him, throws her arms around him, and then they make breakfast together. I stopped reading when it started getting sexual. It's this, combined with his aggressive behavior toward Max and the hourly messages I'm getting, that leads me to call him obsessive. Also, these documents aren't little stories, there aren't just a few of them. The biggest document is 50,000 plus words. There are 22 documents in all, though 3 of them are lists of random stuff. He's also been writing them for over a year. Comment update 1 year later. Commenter. What happened? Did Gabe just slink away? The more I read, the more unhinged he seemed. I hope your friend came out of that on her feet. Ops response. He didn't, actually. It's over now, but there was some more drama not long after my posts. It's a bit of a rabbit hole, I know, but I feel like posting it here might be a bit rude or possibly against the rules since there was police involvement. I will say that everyone is fine though. It's been a while since then. It's still strange to think back on it.